There is a great horror beneath the manor. A crawling chaos that must be destroyed. The task ahead is terrible. And weakness cannot be tolerated. My obsession caused this great foulness. Now, like me, you are a part of this place. The darkest dungeon.
Hello everybody and welcome to Darkest Dungeon, a game that takes the spirit of a Nuzlocke run, that fun way to play Pokemon, and focuses an entire game on that core concept. You heard me right. This game is going to try our party. We are going to fail, and we're gonna fail a lot, and I'm so excited to bring this to you guys. So, just to give you an idea of how in your face this game is about how your things are going to go whack, it pops up a little disclaimer text at you every time you launch the game before you can even say, hey, start. Let me give myself a second. Let me read that to you guys. Darkest Dungeon is about making the most of a bad situation. Quests will fail or must be abandoned. Heroes will die, and when they die, they stay dead. Progress autosaves constantly, so actions are permanent. The game expects a lot out of you. How far will you push your adventures? How much are you willing to risk in your quest to restore the hamlet? What will you sacrifice to save the life of your favorite hero? Thankfully, there are always fresh souls arriving on the stagecoach, seeking both adventure and something. Now, because this game can be quite loud, let's go ahead and make sure that the audio balance pretty well. So tell me that little intro isn't kinda hype, okay? I love it, and I just love the narrator of this game. It gets me so excited and ready to play, and that's why we're hopping into this. So, what is Darkest Dungeon? Why am I just bringing this up to your attention right away? Well, before you click off, because it's not your typical normal game, I know a lot of you are Nuzlocke fans out there, okay? That's right, I got your attention. This game right here encapsulates the spirit of a Nuzlocke run. At the very least. Now, I've played this game a lot, but today we're going to be ignoring Bootyville. In fact, just south of the Bootyville estate is going to be our estate. Now, I'm going to cover a lot of information about this game here, and I actually kind of planned on doing potentially 2 series of this game. For now, just know that we aren't going to be playing on the hardest of difficulties. However, if you guys enjoy this game, I'm going to do what would essentially be doing a Nuzlocke run of this game, but on hardcore insane mode. Since this is just for YouTube and just to show it to all you guys, I'm going to stick to the normal difficulty for now, and we will name it the Nuzlocke Estate, just in honor of its great similarities with that play type. So why am I calling it a Nuzlocke run? Why am I calling it similar to a Nuzlocke run? It's not really a Nuzlocke run. Ooh, more intro, more cinematics. We wait for a second, and then I'll have time to explain. I promise. Just watch this with you guys. There's very few cinematics in this game, I promise.
You will arrive along the old road.
Listen to Wayne June.
It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside.
He's so good.
Leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
Oh, I love him so much. He's such a good narrator. Everybody, Wayne June, take the minute to appreciate that man, because he gargled salt for 14 years in a cave in the Himalayas just to be able to narrate like this for all of you. Now, let me explain this motherfucking game. This is a 4-party size DND like style, at least in my mind. Game that works like a Nuzlocke, where you build a team, you gather your crew as you can find them, deal with their variously randomized strengths and weaknesses, and you just try to make it through your game. And if people die along the way, you just have to deal with it. But you don't want people to die because you spend the whole game building them up. Speaking of, we're going to start with our very first 2 adventurers. And just like in a normal Nuzlocke run, we actually have a little bit of creative choice over these guys. We can change their color scheme. See, we've got only a couple options. We can also change their names. So if I want, I can make Dismas here be somebody else. But I don't want to. And only for the first 2 people. Let me show you why. Okay guys, welcome back. So, the reason that we had to make a bit of a cut there was actually a little more technical difficulty than you might have expected. But long story short, I wanted to point out this achievement right here that I haven't gotten before. On the old road, we found redemption. Dismas and Reynold made it to the final Darkest Dungeon quest. If you can manage to keep the very first 2 people alive throughout your entire campaign and send them both to the final mission, there's an achievement for it. And I would honestly like to get that achievement. I know that this is a PC game, and I tend to achievement hunt specifically on console. I'm a very specific trophy hunter on my PSN account. But for this game, I love it so much, I kind of want to get all the achievements for it. And I may do that someday. But what is this game that I'm shoving down your throat all of a sudden? Why do I keep trying to draw your attention to it by relating it to a Nuzlocke? Why am I interrupting such an amazing voice actor? Well, listen. So, y'all like the tension of a Nuzlocke, right? That idea that, you know, random shit is being thrown at you constantly, and your party, you could lose a Pokemon at any point in time. And you never know who you're going to be able to get next around the corner. And you love your team so much, you take care of them for so long. Well, this game, Darkest Dungeon, it is that spirit, but encapsulated and focused on. I'm going to basically in this episode show you guys what this game is and try to just expose you all to it. So please, if you have a couple minutes, let me show you what I think is an amazing game. Even if you don't intend to watch very much or at all of this game with me, that's fine. But still watch this video enough to where you see how this game goes, because it's beautiful. And if you do like Nuzlocke runs and you like more, I guess I'll say adult themes, since it's not a kid's game, then you will like this. So in this mission, at least, we have 2 adventurers: Reynold, our knight,
much to be found in forgotten places,
and Dismas, our highwayman. Now normally I wouldn't be interrupting Wayne June so much, but I'm really trying to explain. These 2 have their own set of abilities that they can use down here. Abilities can be used depending on what position they're in, which is represented by those yellow dots, and it can be used on enemies in a certain position based on the red dots. So as you can see, the way that you're able to fight in a game is based on how you have your people put in their spots. Everybody has different abilities they can use from different spots, so it's all about managing the positioning of your team. But that's all we're going to say on that. I'm not going to get into huge detail on that concept. We'll let the game show it to you itself. So, we have 2 dudes, spot 1 and spot 2, against 2 dudes that are spot 1, 2, and spot 3. See open vein here? Open vein I can use, it's even lit up saying, hey, you can use this, but I can only use it on the front 2 enemies. And this guy's taking up spots 1 and spots 2 because he's so fat. So open knife can't hit him. So in order to hit people like back here, I need a unit, like Dismas, that has some kind of ranged attack to be able to hit him in the back. It looks like his ranged attack is pretty simplistically just a pistol, but I could also hit all of them with this volley of attacks. I have this attack which could de-stealth a unit and buff my guy, but it won't do much damage, and you're starting to see a little bit of the flavor here. Every character has a slew of abilities that will be used at various times, and they can all be used from different spots in your party all having very different, very unique effects. Whether you want to try and lower somebody's health because they're very tanky by bleeding them out, or want to just do straight damage as much as you can. Fire at particular targets from a range, hit a volley of opponents, poison opponents, bleed opponents, move opponents around, break through armor. Everybody has something different, and there are tons of different characters in this game, and we're going to even be doubling up. We'll have multiple knights, multiple highwaymen, maybe. As we adventure through, we don't know what we're going to get thrown at us, but whatever we do is going to be our team on our quest to get here. This building right there in the distance, in the background, that is the whole mansion that beautiful intro sequence took place at. And our goal is to get back to that mansion. Why? Because we want to basically clear out the darkness that our ancestor, that old dude in the robe, Wayne June, who was narrating to us, yeah, we need to kill whatever the hell it was he summoned down there, because our old mansion has become a literal fucking portal of evilness. Hell spawns crawling out from the hilltop down, descending into the neighboring lands. It's a realm, a mecca of madness. It is a mecca of madness. There we go. That's the term I was trying to use. Now, normally you'd have 4 party members, and this would actually be a lot easier. But today, since at the very first mission of every playthrough, you start with just Reynold and Dismas, this first fight can look a little daunting. You can see our characters got their health here, and they also have this bar under here called stress. Now, we haven't had any stress units yet.
A faint hope blossoms.
But we're going to, and when we do, we'll have to deal with that. So for now, I'm just going to continue to wail on these guys. And you may be wondering why exactly I made episode 0 of this series. That's because before I just started getting into the Let's Play, the meat and potatoes of it, I wanted you guys all to have an opportunity to see exactly what this game is, how it works, and how exactly the playthrough of it would be going before you decide whether or not you want to invest your time to watch it. You know, makes sense. Sure, I spend a lot of time making these videos, and I do it for all you, and I love doing it, but that doesn't mean you guys know that you want to invest all the time into a series. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you guys how the game works. I'm going to show you guys all the mechanics of the game, all of the dungeon crawling, how the stats and moves work, all of it. And it's going to be streamlined in a way that nothing should take too long, unless it's just solid gameplay, me going through a dungeon. And you can ignore that. It's basically saying after you complete a quest, you can stay in the area to keep exploring, or you can go straight home. I'm gonna go straight home, because this chest, it's trapped. Nothing I have will work with it. And we're just gonna go. Wayne June's gonna talk. I know it. No? Oh, he doesn't. Okay, so this is what happens after every quest. You get given your reward screen. The game always offered some reward for doing the quest. That's right here. And then down here will be everything you managed to collect along the way. Everything from treasure to spare supplies you brought with that you didn't use. It's all repurposed back into your money. Why? Because you need money for everything in this game. In addition, every single hero has certain quirks about them, and just using your hero makes them get more quirks. For example, as a result of this, a random quirk that Reynold just got. Boy, that was not attractive, but hopefully I remember to cut it. Is Weapon Tinkerer. Weapon Tinkerer basically just means if I want to upgrade Reynold's weapon, it's going to cost less. That's not very exciting, but that's a good quirk at least. And that's good because they like to get bad quirks. And that's part of what makes this entertaining, is having a team that slowly starts to self-destruct on itself.
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now. And you are bound to them.
I strive to interrupt that man as little as I can, but he talks a lot at the very beginning of the game, so it might be a little hard. But welcome to a screen that I'm going to see a lot more than you guys are. This is your hamlet, your home base. It's what you do in between missions. You come here, you regroup, you fix your team, you give everybody the stress relief and whatnot that they need, the upgrades. I'm sorry, my cat is messing with something. So sorry about that, guys. My cat Luna was trying to get behind the TV and mess with cords. Had to stop that. If you're a pet owner, you understand. But no, this is the Hamlet. It's where you go in between missions. Because this game, it has two sides to it.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
We don't interrupt him. He's too good at his job, okay? So, this is the game. This is where you're going to go to basically choose your missions every single week. There's going to be a slew of missions that are available to you in every single area. Now, normally, you would just have 4. The Ruins, the Warrens, the Weald, and the Cove. However, due to a very difficult DLC I've added to the game, we've got the Courtyard. The Courtyard is hard and is going to make our playthrough even more fucked as a result. But don't worry, we're gonna do it. Even if it makes half of my squad vampiric and wanting to eat the other half. Who cares? And the Farmstead, sure, we're gonna have more of some of our party into alien, like, crystal monster hybrid things when we go there. Who cares? It's another DLC we've added for fun. Because making the game harder is part of this DLC's, or part of this game's DLC mission. Not mission. Vision. As you can see at the beginning, we only have 2 missions available to us. One in the Ruins, which is the only other mission in the game where it's not completely randomized in its layout and enemy, like, formation. Because the game doesn't want you to get dicked right at the beginning. It always gives you the same shit right off the bat. But after this mission, the game starts proper. It's nothing but randomness. Hence why we're in episode 0 right now, because the game is pulling its punches, so my YouTube series will pull its. But there's one other mission available. That's right. The game never stops you from going to the darkest dungeon. It's just a walk up the hill. Anybody can go to the steps, walk in the door. But as you can see, it's a level 6 mission. The rewards are insane for a reason. Our dudes are only level 1, and they even start saying things down there when I, like, select the mission. And it is beyond him. There is a trophy for sending a full squad of level 0s straight in here. Fun fact. So if you do get this game and you just want a quick achievement, boom. Just get a team of 0s and send them in. But that's it. You can select through different missions to get a variety of different rewards, and that's usually how we decide where we want to go. In addition, doing a mission in an area will move this bar towards the skull. Every time that skull gets to tick up, some new boss gets added to the area, and now there's a new boss that you have to fight. And every boss in this game has a different type of mechanic to it. They all handle differently and have different strengths and weaknesses. And fortunately, I know dang near all of them, so we're going to have a pretty good time. That's just the mission screen, though. Let's talk about town, and let's talk about town briefly, because I know you guys are real excited to just see, like, an actual run. And okay, so I'm going to try and remember and cut this and put this at the beginning. Like I said, this is my first time doing a video of this style, so I apologize if it's just slightly disjointed, but hear me out here, okay? If you do not care about an analysis on how the town works and whatnot, it's going to be quite quick. I've got things written out so that I'm not too long-winded, but if you want to skip it and get straight to the action, you can skip it. And if you do skip this scene here, and you go straight to the action, and it still looks like an interesting game, I do encourage you to come look at this time right now, to come back here and at least let me show you how all the mechanics of the town work. Like I said, we're going to cover them very quickly. This is the stagecoach.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
We kind of have to wait for Wayne June to shut the hell up on every area since I'm trying to explain it, but this is the stagecoach. Like every area in the game, it has upgrades that you can get into by spending these things. They're heirlooms. You find them by doing their missions. It's like a type of money. Only certain things need this thing. Certain things need that thing. Certain things need this thing. These upgrades are basically based on how many people you can have and how many people show up in the stagecoach at one time. So if I want to have more than 10 people, I got to upgrade this coach. Additionally, this coach gives me my people every week. So after every mission,
what better
win or lose,
laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield?
We've got these guys. Now, this is my original 4. This is the squad. Reynold, Dismas, your Plague Doctor, and your Vestal. These 4 you always get at the beginning of the game. So don't think that you're going to get some like random people in the stagecoach when you first start the game. But after the first week, it's random people every time. Don't expect anything. It could be everything. And in fact, just for posterity's sake, I have an upgrade I almost always like to do, and it's that.
More arrive, foolishly seeking fortune and glory in this domain of the damned.
What I just did, by the way, I increased the number of heroes that we can hold to 13 from 10, and now 3 people will appear in the stagecoach instead of 2, because I want good characters to pop up as soon as possible.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
Is Wayne June's way of saying this is your way to revisit any bit of dialogue or cinematic that he has or the game has. If it threw a cutscene at you, it's here. If he said some shit, it's here. And he has shit to say about every single boss you fight. So there's a lot of Wayne June lines. Trust me, like a lot of written out Wayne June scripts. The Nomad Wagon.
Trinkets and charms gathered from all the forgotten corners of the earth.
Is this lady selling us whatever heckin' trinkets she happened to find every week. There's different stuff in here that ranges in rarity, variety, and you can upgrade it all the same way. Reduce the cost and increase the amount of things that appear here. There is also a crystal man here, but we won't cover him yet because we can't even get these crystals yet. Once we can get those, I'll tell you about him because he's interesting. We just hope I don't forget about him. I won't forget about him, don't worry. And lastly, because the game doesn't want to overwhelm us and throw all of our things at us at once, this is the graveyard.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
Unlike Pokemon Nuzlocke, where we have to dedicate a whole box in our computer to being our graveyard, in Darkest Dungeon, the graveyard's right here for you. If people die, they go there. And that's it. That's all I can show you right now. The game will open up a couple more buildings here and there just as we play, because it doesn't want to throw all of the resources that the city has to offer at you all at once. You know, you've got all these buttons, all these symbols. You don't know what all of it means. You just want to play the game. So you hit embark, you make your team, which, speaking of, we've got these 2 people. Now, this is your guys' chance. So, you are in playthrough episode 0 of Darkest Dungeon, and that does include the first 2 missions. So, the first 2 missions, I get to pick the names here. I already know who I'm naming these 2. My Plague Doctor, as the Plague Doctor is a woman, and this Plague Doctor is a Twilight Dreamer, and they're starting my journey from the beginning. I'm going to name this Plague Doctor what I always like to name my Plague Doctor, Vriska. So you shall be Vriska, and Love, I am going to name you Emily, after my sister, because there's something about the Vestal. Well, no, you know what? I take it back. I will not name the Vestal Emily, because there's a certain character that I will save to be Emily. Just like I have a certain character saved to be Danny, the first one I find at least. So, this lady right here, we'll name her Charmaine. Boom. So, now we have Vriska and Charmaine on our team, and we'll put them in the appropriate spots. There you go. Boom. Good. We won't talk about party order quite yet, but basically, if you want to be a member of my team, if you want to be one of the characters, because we're going to have a lot more than 13, we're going to have like 20-something people, okay? I'll need a roster, and people are going to die, so more spots will be cleared up. If you want to join the team, or you know somebody that might want to join the team, comment. I want to see you pop up in my comment section saying, hey, I want to be that. Then cool, good. Once I get one, I'll name you that. Or just say, hey, let me be somebody, and I'll make you somebody. I don't know who yet, but once I find somebody, I'm going to name you after them. And I would love to make this party named after as many of you guys out there as I can. So I will even be taking some liberties and naming characters after people I know have subscribed or liked or watched videos. But if you want to make your voice known, please talk to me. I would love to have you be part of my playthrough, because that happened to me. I had a streamer make me part of his playthrough, and I killed the final boss. And that was so exciting for me, so special. I want to recreate that moment with all you. Now, this is a part that is going to be mostly done on my end. This is mostly for if you were interested in the game, but we're just about to go out into the ruins. Before I do, I'm going to explain my people's abilities to you real quick, just kind of how this all works. A little annotation here if you want to skip it and get straight to the next bit. But basically, every character has their series of abilities. I'll try to cover them briefly, but just know that Vriska, the Plague Doctor, really likes to be in the back, specifically in the third slot this time around it seems, because Vriska has these 4 abilities that they can use. Now eventually we'll be able to unlock all their abilities, so if I have a Plague Doctor I can use them exactly how I want. But for now I just have to use whatever my Plague Doctor knows. And my Plague Doctor knows how to do everything from spot 3, including this stabby. So we're going to put you there instead, because she can't mace bash from the back anyway, and she needs to be in the back so she can heal. Divine Grace. She's my healer. But it looks like she also has Judgment. So as long as I keep her back there, she can do that. It's a ranged attack, and you can kind of see the stats for it. We can break out. Accuracy base is how accurate it is. 85, that's not as good. You'd want it to be closer to 100. Damage mod of negative 25% basically means that this move does 75% power. And her power is 4 to 8. So it'll do 75% of 4 to 8 damage. So it's probably like 3 to 7 damage on this attack. And we can actually see just how much it would be in-game. The crit mod is just if it has a chance to crit, that's how much. And then as you can see, this move has an additional effect of healing the Vestal when it lands. So she'll get a heal every time she lands this attack on somebody. Isn't that nice? And this heal can be directed to everybody. Now, if I kept her in the third slot, I could use Illumination, which as you can see here, damage mod of negative 75%. This is a move that isn't meant to do much damage. It just gets rid of dodge, and it de-stealths a target, and it makes your torch last a little longer. So it's got different tactical uses. Why are there moves like that? Because there's units like that. The game's going to keep throwing more and more curveballs at us. But fortunately, some of those more difficult enemies aren't until later on in the game, after you've like leveled up these areas by beating earlier missions. Now that we've covered how abilities and whatnot look, though, and I can't really get too deep into detail with their abilities, I'll be able to do that at a different time, which I think helps break things up. We're going to go right into
the cost of preparedness,
that.
measured now in gold, later in blood.
And he says that because this game is indeed going to be quite difficult. So we need to bring supplies, just a few. I already kind of know what supplies you need to bring to this. I'm gonna bring this much: 8 torches, 8 food. You don't know what half of this shit is yet, but know that everything in here has its uses. So food, your people get hungry during the mission, and if you don't have food to feed them when they get hungry, it's gonna hurt them a lot. Shovels are on a similar level. There are things that are going to be in our path. We can't get through them unless we either clear it by hand, which will take forever and hurt our team a little and make things really dark and it'll stress everybody out, or we could just use a shovel and dig things out of the way real quick. You know, cure poison, block bleed, get rid of status effects and whatnot, open any lock, give your team a bit of buffs. These all have their own uses. The torches are for lighting up the hallway. This is for restoring sanity, because we established that stress is a matter. Well, people get too stressed out, they start to go a little crazy. Laudanum is good at preventing that from happening. And then this is just super buff juice that you can only buy with these crystals. We've got a slew of materials that we can bring into any mission, and it's up to us to decide how much we bring, and it all costs money. So we can't just sit there and stock up and bring a bunch extra, or we'll be broke. So you kind of have to min-max your supplies, and since you're constantly min-maxing your supplies, sometimes you're not as prepared as you'd like to be for a mission. You didn't bring as much torches, or you needed more shovels, so your party has to deal with that stress to get hurt, because you need to progress. Or maybe you decided to you just bail on the mission because you couldn't get through this bit now, because you didn't have enough shovels. The way you prepare for the game, and the way that you go through the game, is going to be incredibly determinant of how successful you are. But we know how to succeed quite well, because I have played this game. Welcome to the second mission, or the first real mission, or the only not real mission because it's not randomized and everything is always in the same place. You get the idea. Here we are with our team of 4. This is the classic 4. Reynald, Dismas, Vriska, and Charmaine. Took me a second. They've each got their own abilities. I'm not going to cover them in 100% detail, but just know that Dismas has A single target attack, he can attack the front 2 people, he has a stun, and he has a beef me up moves that also gives us a lot of torch. Then if we go over to Dismiss, Dismiss is all damage. He's just able to do it in a variety of ways, with one ability being a D-stealth that also buffs him a lot. So if we see a stealth unit, he will be our guy to take care of it, and if it's a long fight, we can buff him. Vriska's all about her poison. So she has these poison grenades she throws at the back line, as well as a stun she can throw at a back line. But if she's not attacking the back line, she at least has her stabby, because she's in spot 3, and she can get rid of blight and bleed with this very, very weak heal of hers. So that means if we have a character bleeding, or a character poisoned, she can heal it with a crappy heal. It'll just get rid of that status effect, and that's the big part of Battlefield Medicine. And then we kind of already covered Charmaine. She's our healer, but she's not the best at it because she doesn't have all of her good moves. She just basically has judgment and heal, and that's all she's doing in the back. She's not ideal with her moves layout and where she's at, but this is the best I can do with the people I have. Get ready to hear that a lot, by the way, because that is the message of Darkest Dungeon. Build the best party from the random Pokemon you can find along the way. Same concept, only now it's a lot more dark and gritty looking. It's got that, like, kind of DND sort of vibe with, you know, the medieval-ish characters, oh boy. And now we're getting into all sorts of things. So, based on the light level, people will get surprised. The lighter it is, the more likely you are to surprise them. That being said, it's just likely. They surprised us. And since they surprised us, we all get to attack the same, but our party gets shuffled around. And that's bad because certain people can only do certain things from certain spots, as you know. So we just need to deal with it. Fortunately, Vriska was able to do her slice, so she was able to get a nice crit and take one out right away. But our knight is just stuck in the back, and that is the worst place for them to be, because all they can do is slowly trudge forward. And the Vestal, the Vestal could get some damage in, but honestly, I'd rather just heal up that punch that I had to take right here, because now it's like last turn didn't even happen. And with Vriska plus the Highwayman combined, I think they can take down Skeleton. Now, his only attack is a bleeding attack, and skeletons can't bleed because they're bleed resistant, as you can see way down here, is 180%, because it's actually 200%, we've lowered it a little. Have you ever tried to bleed a skeleton? They don't have a lot of blood in them. Now that we are done being surprised, though, and we've gotten that tiny, tiny, easy fight, because it's the first fight in a dungeon, like I said, not randomized, not going to throw random bullshit at us right now, we can put our party back into order, and we can even loot this little chest we found. Now, I happen to know some of the curios, so I'm just going to open it, because I know...
is only the first test.
Yeah?
Now it must be carried home.
Just going to interrupt me, Wayne? It's kind of rude. But I already know that these tiny little chests, you can open them, and they usually never fail. Boom! Other thing that can happen if you have a lot of light is you can scout, and scout reveals the map before you get to it. Very, very valuable, because it means you're not walking blind into things.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Imagine if when we were playing the Nuzlocke, if I knew I had to walk through a patch of grass and I could tell what the, what's gonna be in that grass. Like, hey, if I go in this grass, I'm gonna have a fight. Hey, if I go around this grass. It's basically like the equivalent of discovering the trainers ahead of time, as opposed to letting them surprise you in the dark like they did for me in Rock Tunnel. Now then, we are introduced to another type of mechanic. And I'm tempted to leave this man alive just to describe it, but I know I don't need to leave a stress character alive for them to do stress. Welcome to this. An attack that only does 1 damage. Why do I care? Because it stressed this character out. Stress does not heal at the end of your mission. It can't be healed by normal healing moves. It just builds up, and it's up to you to try and decrease it however you can think of. Which, spoiler alert, actually, spoiler alert, I don't really take care of this guy. But spoiler alert, there's not the best of methods of getting rid of stress. And a lot of things stress you out. If a player gets crit, your team's going to get stressed. If something bad happens with a curio interaction, your team might get stressed.
Executed with impunity.
There's constantly things that you're needing to just keep an eye on. And this is a big one, and these guys, they like to build up that stress. We don't want stress to get to 100, because once it gets to 100, our character, more likely than not, will go crazy. And if they go crazy, they're going to start doing things without me telling them to. And when I say doing things, I mean attacking my own teammates, using my healing without my say-so, just forcing people to skip their turn, forcing people to move into places they don't want to move, simply not listening You get the idea. They go crazy because they're too stressed out. It just breaks their mind. And if it gets to 100, it can keep filling up all the way to 200. Get to 200, dude has a heart attack. And you think you're going to live after having a heart attack? You might be able to, and hopefully I don't have to explain exactly how a heart attack works. But if the opportunity does happen, we'll have to. Now, because of our scouting, we can actually see on the map there's a curio in here. A room battle with curio. And here is a room battle with treasure. I'm going to go ahead and do them both because I have the time to, but you're probably wondering, what's a curio? Well, a curio is the sack right here. Any item that's in the background that your characters can interact with. Now, the sack is pretty simple. It just had money in it. There's nothing more. I don't have to, like, use anything on it to get a good effect out of it. But there are some things like this, where using curios on them, or using your items on them, can give you good effects. We're going to cover exactly how we're going to do that, but first, let's handle this fight. So this time, we got the lucky monster surprise, which we should, because we've been playing with the torch very well lit, because we don't want to be in the dark. As a result, we can surprise them, which means we get to take all of our attacks before they can take any of theirs.
Back to the pit.
Boom, take that guy out. And like I said, the Vestal can't do much anyway, so I might as well hit him. Now the Blight is going to take him out. And we've managed to limit this fight to just one attacker attacking us. Boom. Round 2. So now that the surprise is worn off, it's based on speed, who will go first. And as you can see, these skeletons with speed 2, they aren't the fastest. So we're able to outspeed these guys pretty consistently. And this is really all there is to the fighting, just knowing who to use and what to use them on. But the enemies, boy, do they get complicated. We're just starting out with basic skeletons. Just you wait. This game gets nuts. Now, let's go ahead. I know, because I played the game before, that if you use holy water on one of these fountains, you get divine benefit, which is a big heal and a big stress heal. Pretty handy because we had to basically stack up that stress from the one dude earlier. But you might be thinking, what exactly is the purpose of exploring this map? Well, our quest was to explore 90% of rooms. That basically equals out to, I think I can skip 1, maybe 2 of these big rooms, and that's it. And you know, I would like to get that treasure, so I'm actually going to go back the way I came. It'll stress my people out a little because they're like, really? We're backtracking? But just a little. And we're going to go get that treasure. I want treasure. Treasure's nice. There's another mechanic about our heroes that hasn't quite happened yet that usually does, and I'm hoping it does because I'd like to talk about it. I feel like it always happens to me on this backpack full of food. Oh no, this is the key?
And purpose is made clear.
Okay, so if this is the key, then the backpack with food is coming up later. Like I said, this mission is doctored because they want, or it's not randomized. They wanted everybody to not get completely overwhelmed at the very beginning of the game. I appreciate this. Now, this guy looks scary, and he's definitely scarier than a skeleton, but I don't like the stress. I try to focus stress almost all the time. There are times where you need to let your party get stressed out and just accept, you know, because you can't let people get hurt. Maybe you don't even have a healer on your team, and when that happens, it's ugly. It's real ugly. We're gonna do that. He resisted it. Man, that sucks. 3, 4, see, this might kill. And here's another thing about this game. It has a lot of statistics to it, but they're all laid out to you really well. So sure, this has tons of accuracy, damage mod, crit mod, blah, 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 blah. If I mouse over the enemy I want to hit, look down here. Hero to hit. That's my real accuracy. I have 73% chance to hit that guy. 85% to hit this guy. Why? Because he doesn't have the 13 dodge that this cultist acolyte does. Additionally, we can see the cultist acolyte's very fast. It doesn't have very many resistances. And you can even see what skills we've been hit by from acolytes. So far, the only move they have is that stressful incantation, and it gives us stress. But you see how neatly it lays out all that info? Unlike Pokemon, where you just kind of have to know a lot of stuff, this game it's like, okay, here are all your stats, but if you need a more concise look, just mouse over the target, we'll tell you everything about them. I much prefer that. I feel like that is much more streamlined. We, however, were not able to handle this fight quite as cleanly as we've handled other fights in this dungeon. So, as a result, our team has taken a little bit of damage here. We're going to have to stack up a little bit of stress, and that kind of sucks. But this wasn't even as bad of a fight as it could be. This is just 3 basic enemies. So why are we getting like a little bit messed up by this fight? Because it's not hard to get messed up in this game in general. It is genuinely a difficult game, and you kind of have to know your players' abilities and how to use them in order to succeed in this Darkest Dungeon. But that being said, I've played Darkest Dungeon quite a fair bit. I kind of know what I'm doing with this game, just like I kind of know what I'm doing in our Nuzlocke run, only I like actually legit know what I'm doing here. I'm not going to be having to check charts constantly about, ooh, well, is this effective against him? Ooh, I don't know if it's effective against that guy. Ooh. No, none of that. Instead, it's just going to be me playing. And if you need a little TLDR on what's going on right now, I'm just kind of playing in autopilot because I know what abilities and whatnot I need to use because I've used them all so much.
Push on to the task.
So it's really easy for me to just be like, all right, yeah, I need to bleed this guy. Click. And I don't need to sit there and I don't need to think about it as hard. Like, every decision is like, I don't know. Instead, what we're going to be left with is just trying to deal with the aftermath of all of the crazy shit that's thrown at us. Also, the game was throwing it out. We got blood. We're going to deal with having people on our team eventually that need this blood for reasons we won't get into yet because the game is going to reveal all of that to us. So when that happens, at least we found 1 vial of it. I want to hold on to that blood. And I also want to hold on to this. Boom.
For a task well performed.
So as you can see in our inventory here, we've managed to, our supplies are dwindling down a little bit as we go through the dungeon, but we've collected a decent bit of treasure. We found this blood, we found some heirlooms, and who knows what we'll find. You might even find things that you can equip to your characters to give them boosts. And in fact, those types of boosts are the most common types of boosts you'll use. There's also traps in the dungeon. Traps aplenty. But fortunately, that trap hit, out of the random person in our party, it hit Dismas. And Dismas is the dodgy guy, as you could probably tell. So he was actually able to dodge that trap, and we were okay. Now, because I've cleared out every single room, because I started here and went boop, 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 back to here and then here, and now here, I've been in every big room except these 2. So I need to clear out 90% of rooms. Once I enter this big room, the quest is done. I've completed it. And Dismas didn't do anything weird with this backpack, which is good. This backpack has a decent amount of money in it. He always steals this backpack from me. Why? Because Reynold is a kleptomaniac. He steals shit, which means you'll walk by a curio, and instead of interacting with it, Reynold will just start whistling and just grab whatever the hell was in there. Or maybe it was something where it's like, hey, if you interact with this curio, it'll give you money if you have an anti-venom, but if you don't have money, it'll poison. If you don't have an anti-venom, it'll poison you. And Reynold will be like, cool, money, and he'll just go for it without using the anti-venom to keep himself from getting poisoned. So now he tried to steal your shit, and he's poisoned, and you can't interact with that curio anymore because you already ruined it. You see the issue? You just have to deal with it. You have to deal with your party. You have to figure out how to make the best out of a bad situation, like the game said at the beginning. And it's so fun how tits up this playthrough will get by the end of it. To give you guys an idea of what the game looks like when it's not pulling 100% of its punches, let's take this one step further. Even though we could beat the quest and leave right now, I can stay in the dungeon as well. Why would I? Well, for extra money, extra loot. Who knows what I'm going to find? But since I've completed my objective of exploring 90% of the rooms, as long as I'm not in a fight, I can leave. And that's exactly what I intend to do. Now you're seeing why I brought the 8 torches too. If you don't include the one that I found, I basically end up using all my torches. Like I said, I know how much we're going to need to get to this area. And I know that I'm not going to get hungry again, because this is the last room I'm going into, right? So let's go ahead and we'll feed up Viola a little bit of... Vriska. My bad. Feed up everybody a little bit of food. Normally the food would be used if they get hungry. But since I have spare food, I'm going to use it to heal them up just a teeny bit. There's nothing I can do about the stress. And I could keep the holy waters to, like, resell them at the end of the mission, but honestly, I think I'd rather give some buffs. So now everybody's got a big old fat chunk of resistances for a couple rounds. Now, a round would normally just be, like, one of these tiny squares, but when you're in a fight, this is your round, everybody taking their turn. But this is just one 4v4 fight. Keep in mind, we're going to have lots of 4v4 fights. Now, how do we need to deal with this? We know it's the last mission, so my main priority is getting rid of the thing that doesn't heal at the end of the mission. Stress, which our healer is the most stressed one, which is terrible. I would much rather anybody else have all this stress but her, and I don't want her getting even closer to 100. So we're going to use pistol shot. We're focusing down this guy. He is our #1 target. That plus a plague grenade. If the plague lands, which it should, it's got a good high chance. Boom, 4 damage per round. He's at 3 health. He's done. Next, the Vestal can only really focus the back. Well, he's 1 of the 2 people that can focus the back line, so I want her to. Now this guy is going to die in 2 turns of Blight. So he'll get 1 more attack off, but that's it. And that's if I completely leave him alone. Meanwhile, these guys are going to do their chopping and cutting. They didn't get any, like, amazing rolls, so we're just able to go in. And Reynolds real good at taking out skeletons because Smite does extra damage against the Unholy. Now, does that do 4? No, 2 to 3. I would prefer not to take 1 hit from this guy, and as long as I hit him, the Blight will finish him off. Oh, I even got a crit! Crits are fun because they de-stress your people and give your people unique buffs based on who got the crit. Since he got the crit, he's got +2 speed for a round. That's what that, like, up with the yellow arrow is. All those other resistances and whatnot, those are still from the Holy Water. Now we're going to wear this guy down. And this guy's actually got some protection. He's a little harder to take out. Normally it would be good to bleed him, but he's a skeleton, so I can't. Normally it would be good to blight him, but my Plague Doctor can't actually plague people in the front. And this guy, even though he had so little stun resistance, managed to resist the stun and get a slice in on me. But it's cool. We still got Incision. Dismiss will be able to slice him. It won't bleed, but it does damage. And he's done. Boom. You can see that one got a little more out of hand. Our Plague Doctor is actually suffering from a decent injury after that. We gathered more stress, but we got through it. And if a whole dungeon was filled with fights like that, you can see how it would get hard to keep your team alive throughout it, especially as the missions start to get longer and longer and longer. Now, there's also one feature about the dungeons I haven't taken note on. I brought plenty of torches, so we had plenty of light, but what happens when the light starts to run out, which it just does over time, and certain attacks even drain the light, like that stressful incantation? Well, once it's gone down a little bit, as you can see, our chance to dodge and scout goes down. Our chance to surprise goes down. But stress and monster crits get bumped up. Same again. Only now, we are losing our extra chance for a lot of shit. You know, monsters are getting, or our heroes have an extra chance of getting surprised. Monsters are even less likely to get surprised. We're getting more crits, though. And we're getting more loot. So, even though monster accuracy and damage and stress go way up and monsters get way more crits, you can start getting things dark to get risky and make more money. All the way to Blackest Pitch.
Wonders can be found in the most tenebrous corners of this place.
Now Blackest Pitch is especially scary because there's some monsters that'll just appear in your dungeon because you were walking around and it was too dark. I don't know if that only applies to 0 torchlight or if it's just low torchlight. If it does appear on low torchlight, probably have it happen to us eventually. But why'd we do that? It's actually just a little min-maxy thing. Since this is the last thing I'm going to do before I leave the dungeon, I might as well take the torch to 0 and get max loot out of this, so I get as much money out of this box as I can. It wasn't that much, but you see. You see, we got that. And now we've been everywhere. I have no reason to stay here, so I leave. Wayne isn't going to talk to us this time, but we get our rewards. And our rewards for this mission, which it was the only mission we could do except the Darkest Dungeon, is whatever we found in the dungeon and whatever we brought back. Didn't use like any of our food, so it was all just spared. We found some money, not much, but a little bit. The big thing is we found a bunch of these heirlooms. And remember that heirlooms are kind of like a different form of currency. You use heirlooms to upgrade your town's buildings. You use treasure to upgrade and prepare your people. Make sense? Ooh, and now, because it's after a mission, we get to see how everybody else is different. How has our team changed? Well, it looks like Reynold is just continuing to get good shit. He's now doing more damage if he goes to the Warrens. That's nice. Dismas, however, is afraid of the Cove. He gets stressed out in there really bad, so we almost don't want to take Dismas to the Cove anymore. But if we take him to the Weald, he'll scout for us more. Pretty benign things for, yeah, we're getting nothing but pretty, like, lame and basic things about them. I guess that's good because it's not terribly bad, but it's also not terribly interesting. So, don't worry. There's...
I was lord of this place before the crows and rats made it their domain.
Keep in mind that there's plenty of interesting quirks as well, like kleptomania, being afraid of God even though you're a crusader. There's all sorts of interesting combinations. Here's one that actually just got locked in for us. Charmaine has slow draw, -4 speed on the first round, and because of just unluckiness, that got locked in. So if I ever wanted to get rid of this quirk, because it's locked in, it would cost me about 6,000 gold. Keep in mind, 2 very successful missions later, without spending money on preparing, I've only got 12,000 gold. And we've also unlocked 2 new buildings in the town. I can describe them very quickly for you because they both work exactly the same. The Abbey...
The cobwebs have been dusted, the pews set straight. The Abbey calls to the faithful.
And the Tavern.
Fresh kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken alike.
Long story short, if you send a person in, they get... investigating the dark arts. They get stress relief by going to these places. Now, depending on where you take them, they might do something good or bad that week while they're getting their stress healed. But they'll get their stress healed after that week. I've had people where I sent them to the bar, just real quick and easy. Go to the bar, have a couple drinks, relax. You kind of had a rough night last week. And they end up going on some drunken binge, and I don't see that character for 6 weeks. Because they're just off drinking. But since it was a new mission that we just got done, we've also got new people available at the... Well, I was going to tell you all how we just got 3 new people, but the audio breaks a bit here. So we had to come in post-recording to give you guys some audio. This is the end of the episode, and I so hope that you guys enjoyed it because this game is so close to the archetype of a Nuzlocke run that I think a lot more mature fans of Nuzlocke series will enjoy watching this game. You like to see if people lose Nuzlockes? Well, just you wait till the guys that I spend literal weeks and weeks training with, getting to know, all implode together on the same botched mission that I thought would go perfectly. Constantly balancing team positioning, gold, town supplies, it's going to drive us mad. But we are going to stick through it here on the channel until we bring the Darkest Dungeon down because this game will not beat me. And as this is the first video in the series, this is the time I need you guys telling me that you like what you see. Let me know if you're interested by this, because I want to keep putting this out if you guys want to keep seeing more of it. And if you want to see less of it, I want to put out what you guys want to see. I really think you Nuzlockers are going to get a huge, huge kick out of this playthrough series. Really, because it's just one of the best indie games to come out in recent history, and it matches that archetype that y'all love so much. So just let me know if this did catch your attention. And please, I cannot stress this one enough. If you want to be part of my playthrough and you want to be one of the characters on my roster, let me know in the comments. I want to name you I want to name my warriors against corruption after my loyal viewers and subscribers. So please, 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 let yourself be heard in the comments so I can get you on the team. But on that note, we've talked long enough today, and I'll have to pick up this adventure at the beginning in part 1, coming at you guys real soon here on the channel. For now, though, this has been Chris telling you all hugs, kisses, try not to get enveloped by never-ending darkness, and goodbye.